Hey, Mike with Mike's Bags, and today I am reviewing the Konvict by Kontraband Athletics. This bag's starting to become very popular thanks to Tony Smith and Jacob Trzynski and what they're doing on the ACL tour with this bag. They've won a lot of tournaments. They've really made a name for this bag. Let's go ahead and dive in and we'll break this bag down. Let's start with the materials. And the slow side on this bag is it's the Surefire material, but it's the opposite side of what Lucky uses on the Surefire. It's the same side slow side you'll find on the Reynolds Typhoon, the Buffalo Deadhead, the Titan Thrasher, I think, uses this side as well. The All Slides, the All Slides 2.0, I think, also uses this material. It's the softer side of the material. I actually like this side a little better. They both play about the same. I'm gonna call it a 5-speed material. That's about where it falls. There are three kind of negatives that we'll say about this material, and I tell it all the time. It's not just this bag, this material in general. One is humidity, right? When the boards start getting damp, sticky from humidity, this material just soaks that stuff up and really just starts to stick, becomes almost unplayable. You really can't play it in humid conditions. The second thing is this material does have to want to kick on you. If you throw a bag that has some tilt on it one way or the other, it's going to kick. Now that does lead to the controllability, the ability to shape shots, cuts like that, but it does have a kick on there, and I'll get more into shot shape and that and playability in a moment. The third thing is I find this material tends to want to hang on the hole more than some other materials, which is kind of maybe ironic in the sense that this bag has been referred to as a slinky bag by Smith and Trzynski. And for those who don't know, slinky, I think slinky is kind of a northeastern term, northeast United States, that New England area. It's a term they use there for bags that want to just kind of melt and drip in the hole. Those really kind of bags that slink around and just slip in the hole. Now, compared to the Combat, which is what Smith and Trzynski threw most of last year, this is definitely a slinkier bag than that. But I don't think this is a slinky bag. I think the Cutthroat, the KOs by Kontraband are slinky bags. I don't really think this is. I mean, I don't know, who am I to say what's slinky, what's not? But to me, this is not that bag that's actually going to slink in, drip in the hole. This is a bag, you're going to find some issues with it hanging on the hole from time to time, and that's just kind of what this material does. But it does have some positive to it, and we'll get into that in playability that I think kind of balance things out a little bit for you. The fast side on this is that Pro Sniper, Deadhead, Viper fast side, 9-speed, crazy fast, push through everything, collects anything that's in the way. So you've got a 5 and 9-speed bag. Tempo on this bag is this is on the smaller side. It's not the smallest bag I've thrown, but it's definitely not it's smaller than the average, I would say, bag. It's kind of on the smaller side. It has a smaller feel to it as well because it's a somewhat full bag. There's not a lot of flop here to this bag. This bag's got, quite a bit of puffiness on both sides of it. It's almost like you take the carpet bag fullness and template, but you put some faster materials on it. It's kind of what it feels like. Now, the fill in here is that flat fill, which when I ordered this bag, I knew the materials I was getting. I just didn't know the fill or the template size, and I was expecting to get the Cutthroat fill, which is that bead fill. I really like a bead fill or a mixed fill better than I do that flat fill, so I was a little disappointed when I found out this bag had that flat fill on it. It's not a deal breaker, but I think for me and the way I play, I like that bead fill, that mixed fill more so than the flat fill. But for this bag, with the amount of fill in it and that flat fill in it, it gives it a wonderful hand feel, right? You can really lock this bag down. It's full enough. You can get a nice grip, lock it down, nice fluid, smooth fill. The bag does land a little softer, so that flat fill does take some of that kick out of the bag. It's still there, not as prominent, so this bag's not going to kick as hard as a bag with this material that has more of a bead fill, more of a bouncier fill. So it's definitely a softer, more forgiving landing on this bag than what you would get on that mixed bead fill that I'm looking for. But let's go ahead and jump to playability on this bag. And this is a bag that's versatile. I think you can play a different style of games with this bag. For one, you can control this material, you can throw blockers, you can put bags up there and really cause a lot of chaos, congestion on the board. However, I don't think that's the best use for this bag because the bag's fuller and a little smaller template. It's a tougher bag to collect, right? Typically fuller bags, I talk about how when you get a fuller bag, you just clip a corner and you just take them in. And this is not an exception to that. Like, you can clip a corner. It's not going to accordion up like floppy bags. Well, the problem is because the bag is smaller and the bag you're throwing is smaller, your target area becomes smaller. You've got to be more precise. So if you're a little off, you're just going to nick that corner, go by. You might bullet out of the way. You've got, it's harder to hit the area you're hitting. You don't have as much forgiveness as you would with a little bit larger template bag. So for that reason, I find that when I was throwing blockers, I was, if I didn't hit them exactly right, I was kind of getting around them. Now, that also leads to the other side of it is if you're throwing this bag and your opponent is throwing blockers up there, this bag is wonderful for getting around because it is that smaller template. It can kind of sneak around bags really well. You've got the ability to shape shots with this material as far as throwing cuts. So when your opponent has a blocker up there, you can come up here, you could throw a cut cut around their bag. You can kind of come in, bully into their bag and spin around and get off. There are plenty of ways to get around your opponent's bag, leave their bag there. This bag is wonderful for rolling, flopping, even though it doesn't have the bouncy fill. I would say your average to above average rollback thrower should be able to roll this bag. It's full enough, shouldn't have a problem. It's definitely a bag you can shape shots with. You can play a dirty style game. You can do a lot with it. However, for me, I think where this bag really excels is if you're wanting to play more of that hole for hole game, especially on faster boards. I love this material on faster boards because when you get faster boards, the bag doesn't kick as much. The bag doesn't tend to hang on the hole as much. It tends to want to go. Because if you've got enough speed going up around the hole, it'll grab that hole and spin around and come back in. It's when it grabs the hole and then stops. Once it stops and sets, that's where I think the hole friendliness of this bag is lacking, because I had bags setting then you're just throwing bags in, boom, 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 and the bag is just not moving. You have to be aggressive. And I think there's a time or two where I even tried to throw an airmail drag and clip it, but the bag just wouldn't go. So if you get a bag hanging on that back lip or the back corners, very tough to get. Now, if it's on the front, easy to collect as far as, pushing through. The sides, you can collect because you can throw a cut shot, come across, and drag them in. I will say, because they're fuller bags, they will bunch. I had them bunch a few times on me. However, because they're smaller, I didn't have an issue clogging the hole. They would bunch. As long as I had another bag, I could come through, hit them, and they would fall in. I don't think I ever had these clog the hole on me, but I did have a couple of times where they bunch, but it wasn't a big deal. I don't think it's an issue. You tend to get that with fuller bags when you try to come across and catch a bag on the side. You don't tend to want to bunch them, especially if you don't have enough speed to push through. But again, not a big deal. They're still collectible after that. I don't want to cause that a negative on there. The other thing I would say on these bags is the landing zone. I talk about the landing zone, right? You've kind of got your normal size landing zone. As bags get bigger, floppier, I feel like the landing zone increases. As they get smaller, fuller, they decrease. I think this has a little bit smaller than normal landing zone, which means you've got to be a little more precise when you're throwing this back as far as the area that you have to land the bag to put it in the hole. Because it's not that floppy, because it's fuller, when it goes by that hole to the left or right, it has more tendency to kind of skip over the hole, because this corner is just not going to dip in like a looser, floppier bag would to grab it. Now, it still grabs the hole, and I had some times where it would grab it, but I also had some times where I think the bag should have grabbed, that it just kind of skipped over, or it caught enough to stop it and spun, but not enough to pull it back in, and it's set on the back again where it was uncollectible. So I will say it is definitely more of a precision type bag, more of a higher skill. Be careful I say this, but I think anybody can throw this bag, right? Beginners to pros, pros throw it, right? Smith, Brzezinski throw it and have a ton of success with it. And I think it's a great bag for beginners because this is such a wonderful material that you control. I would say that as a beginner, it may be a little bit frustrating as far as you're going to have bags not quite go in the hole as much as it should. So your PPR is not going to be where it should. However, I do think this is a bag that plays better in competition, doesn't open boards, right? So when you're looking at the open boards here, sometimes the bags are hanging, sometimes I'd miss. But if I'm playing in competition, and I think for me, this is a bag I pull out on faster boards. This is a bag I would pull out if I had an opponent that's sort of sticky bag that has a really good roll game, a really good dirty style game, and I don't want to play to their strength. So if they're throwing blockers, I want a bag like this that I can just get around their bag, leave their bag, because I don't want, if I'm playing an opponent who likes to play their style game, I don't want to collect their bags. I want to make them work to collect it, because if they start putting bags on my side and they aren't able to collect them, I can still get my 4 bags in. It takes away their ability, their side of the game, to throw that blocker. They get less confidence in throwing that blocker, and then they start playing more of a hole for hole. And if they've got a stickier bag, I now have the advantage on that hole for hole game. So for me, this is a bag that I want to be more of a run for the hole type bag. This is a bag I want to play on faster boards. This is a bag I want to play against an opponent who plays stickier bags. Now, that being said, I think, for those of you who like fuller, fatter bags, but don't want a carpet bag, this is a wonderful option. I think you're going to love this bag. It's honestly, again, I wasn't a fan of the fill, we'll disappoint that, but after I got thrown it, I really like the way this bag plays. And this is a bag that I'm probably not going to let go of. Typically I review bags and then I put them in my Ko-fi shop to sell them. I'm not sure you're going to see this set of bags on that. I very well might keep a hold of these bags for a while, see how I'll give them some more time playing and see how I really like them. Because I was surprised with the way they play, and they do fit my game as far as being able to cut and shape shots and get around bags. It's something I like to do. Yet it is a little more hole friendly than some of your stickier carpet bags. So it gives me an option where I can go from a carpet bag into a little bit of a faster bag, especially, for board conditions or whatever, or, I go to a blind draw and someone just refuses to throw carpet. I can pull this bag out, they'll throw this, and I can still play a carpet style game while they're playing more of a faster style game. So all in all, I love the Konvicts. I had a blast on them. They actually surprised me in the way they played. You know, I didn't really expect it. So I recommend them. Go check them out. Now, Kontraband has our website, kontrabandathletics.com. Again, be a link in the description. The bags are $100 for a set. They have Kontraband's doing better. I think they tend to have these bags in stock for the most part. Sometimes they're limited in the designs or limited in colorways, but they typically have the bags. Like I said, $100 for a set. I think they're like just under $9. It's like $8.95 for shipping, or like just under $9. So it's like a little under $109 shipped to you, which is, it's just kind of right in the middle. It's definitely not the cheapest. It's not the most expensive, kind of right down the middle, which I think the bags are worth. I don't have a problem paying that for high quality bags. I think you're getting a high quality set here for this. So definitely go check out the Konvicts on kontrabandathletics.com. If you've thrown them, I'd love to hear your opinions. I always like hearing your feedback, good or bad, you know, and sometimes you guys have different takes on these bags or have tried these bags in different conditions that maybe are situations I haven't thought of. So I love hearing that. Let me know your feedback on these bags. I thank you guys so much for support, and I thank you for watching.